times like all you want to do is run. Hear me out, hear me out. If all the things you never show, there are the things I want you to know. Secrets start in your heart to slow. But if you don't wanna tell me now, I guess I'll never know. Losing almost all my energy. It's getting hard to talk to you, and I'm the only one who speaks. It's all the things you never show. There are the things I want you to know. Secrets start in your heart to slow. But if you don't wanna tell me now, I guess I'll never know.
Okay, hey guys, welcome to the live. Hey Ben, hey everyone. Hi True Crime Housewife. Yes, please hit that like button and welcome everyone that's going to come into the live. Hi Lisa, how are you? So Alexa should be joining me in a little bit as well. She's just she had taken her kids to a Halloween party, and I know Aspen Connor had gone to one with to one of the relatives there. But anyways, I was kind of contemplating all day if I was going to do one. I know it was just like a half day kind of in the court today, and it was with Gerry Holeman. And most of the day I spent it just literally in bed with my iPad, listening to all the different things and thinking about the case and just where we are with it so far. And how did you guys feel about today with Gerry Holeman? You know, from anyone that's listened to it today, you know, it's like I said, I was just reflecting a lot of how this case is going so far, you know, about Abby and Libby, trying to find justice for the girls. Will that happen? I still think that remains to be seen, of course. I am definitely not at a point where I would definitely say that they would convict Richard Allen. I'm more at a point at this moment, if we leave everything else out that's about to come, at this moment, all I can see is the inconsistencies and how badly, to me, that the LE has such detrimentally, at this point, messed up the case very badly in so many ways. And that's the thing, is that all these things that could have, would have, should have, that they didn't do, you know, up until even the gun, you know, the bullet and the gun. Hi, Heather. How are you? More trash on top of trash. Disappointed as usual. He didn't know the basic facts. He absolutely should have known. Yeah. Hey, here's my girl, Callie. Hey, Callie. Yeah, I know. I feel fine. I was just, like I said, today, it's just kind of like I said, I was just listening to it, but it's almost like I somewhat didn't feel like it was important enough in a sense, because it was just more like, you know, on there. And then, so I thought, you know, I've been thinking about this all day, just would like to talk about it with you guys, you know, about the case so far, where we're at with it. And, yeah, and just, you know, what's possibly to come. I'm sorry, I think the dude did it, but I couldn't convict. You know, that's exactly where I'm at, necessarily evil. You know, it's like, okay, what things do we know that, in a sense, well, one of the major things that we do know in a sense, but yet nothing's on record, is the fact that he himself self-reported. Now, again, it could have been because his wife knew he was at the bridge that day. It's probably more likely that he saw himself. And, when you have guilty knowledge that that that's you right there, that people are going to be like, hey, that's Richard Allen. Why didn't he say he was at the bridge that day and stuff like that? And that's some of it, the guilty conscience, like saying it's over, right? It didn't make sense for Richard Allen to say it's over. And the reason why he came up with that is because he said that they'd been talking to his job, his neighbors, and that's over. But it was the 13th, the search warrant day. The only time the neighbors would have seen that is, of course, that day. So to sit there and say that they were talking to his job and this and that, that doesn't make sense to me at this moment in my personal time. For him to say that that's why he said it, it can be definitely excuse or a reason afterthought about why it's over. Why you feel like you would rather go to heaven and see your family then, because obviously your life is over at this point and stuff like that. So it's one of those things is that, when somebody is guilty and they see themselves on that bridge and they're plastered now all over the news, you know, oops, let me just call them 3 days later after the picture comes out, you know, or maybe that nudge from the wife it's probably less likely, but it's still a thought that his wife could have said, hey, well, you were there. You better make sure that you call in, self-report yourself, or just simply the guilty knowledge of it. Getting a message. 1 second. Okay, no, it was hey CD. I'm on a live, dude. Come on. But okay, let me just quickly see here.
Sorry, there's nothing to repeat.
Whenever I say CD, my Siri goes off. Well, I knew the bullet was trash. They're relying on confessions he made while under duress. Witness testimony is meh. They better have something explosive evidence that they're waiting to pull out. The only thing that, like I said, based on everything that we've saw so far, honestly, where do I even begin? To be honest, where do you even begin? From the beginning, defense is not wrong when they say from the beginning to the middle to the end, that in a sense that this case is going to crumble before your very eyes. And so far, to me, after each day goes by and you're just, you feel kind of like let down, definitely, because all you're kind of going is, ugh. So they didn't take his height because it cost too much money. Do you know how many people could have been possibly excluded if they would have put out at least the height range in a more like an exclusive height, like a 5 foot, say 4 to 5'7", instead of 5'10", orangey brown hair, like, but just the height in itself could have made a huge difference. But everyone in Delphi, to everyone, was getting the stink eye. Is it you? Is it you? Is it you? Is it you? you know um I'm convinced that they have the correct person, but far too much. Right. That's where I'm at with it. And again, it's not about because I want it to be Richard Allen. It's because things that make sense of why Richard Allen. One, because of his own self-reporting. Two, meeting up with Doolin and admitting that he was there at that time frame. And so at the start is usually when you have the best information. And then after that, you really have to wonder what information is coming out, just like the confessions. What information is coming out after the fact, where they have to, manipulate their story more so and try to come up with explanations to it. And that's why I think like the wording, it's over, is a sign of guilt. And it's more of the guilt that's causing him to say that. And I feel like Richard Allen, if it is, that I feel like when he was arrested, because he lived in town, because it would look suspicious if he moved away. And there's lots of things to go, well, he did live there still, he didn't change his job and I still really would love to know what his job was like after. Did he call in sick? Was he acting different during that, kind of like time afterwards? But I would really like to know about his work schedule, and if he actually was supposed to work on the Monday, did he have it off? Did he have the Tuesday off? Did he call in sick? I would really like to know that. I think we all would. I think that would make somewhat of a difference in just adding that little bit, like, oh, so you just happened to call in sick the day after, or did he go to work? And I've looked at those box cutters from CVS for that time frame, and so unless he had his own, say, and we don't even know, actually, actually don't know that it was a box cutter, but those little box cutters that they used at CVS, they look like, you guys remember Wrigley spearmint gum in the slices, right, with the wrapper over top of it? That's pretty much the same kind of look as those things. I have pictures of it, but that's the same type of look. It's not some big serrated blade type one, unless he specifically, like us, right? It's like you might get one from work, but then you're like, that one's a piece of crap. I'll go buy my own type of thing. Oh, there's CD. Hey, y'all, just getting in. Hope everyone is having a good weekend. Hey, buddy. I said 5 years ago, BG was right, under the 5'5". Yeah, well, see, I always just took it for the 5'10". That whole, according to the website, was the website. Remember, the website changed. It changed from, what was it? Was it 5'6" to 5'8", and then it went to, like, I can't remember exactly now. But then they gave it an incline. And they gave his weight an incline as well. But I always remember that math equation about the students determining that he was 5'10", right? Because maybe that was just it. They couldn't afford it. So they took it upon themselves to do this equation and came up with 5'10.5" for that. Miss you, Callie girl. Callie girl, you need to get your ass up on this panel one day soon. Unfortunately, the next 2 weeks, my Monday through Thursday shifts are 12 to 8. So I won't be doing any lives during that point, because I ain't getting up early. I'll sleep till I have to get up to work. And after I'm done work, I might, if I have any energy left, I just might at like 8:30 at night, but I might not, because the 12 to 8 shifts suck and they're very long. And then you feel just like you're wiped. It's an entire day that's kind of like taken up. Sunny, but we know that a couple days later he was processing photos, so not sure if he did take a day off or not. Well, that's just it, right? I don't know. I would really like to know his schedule. And that in itself is just sick and twisted if it's Richard Allen, right? And then he gave them for free. Don't worry, no charge for you. Oh, just imagine the hindsight of that. I had someone go out to the bridge and measure the bolts on the tracks and then measure the distance by, what was that? Came out right underneath 5'7", aka Allen with hiking boots. Gotcha, necessary evil. And the thing is that honestly, there's one thing that we kind of can't take away from with this, and that's the fact that we have the picture of Richard Allen standing beside those little cinder bricks that are like in the picture here. And it's showing that he was basically 5'6". So, I actually probably kind of maybe believe that explanation of that, he was trying to correct his height to the 5'6", because I believe he truly was more around the 5'5", 5'6" area. And then, because when you're in prison, right, you got what? Either you're barefoot, you got those little orange little crocky things on or whatever. So honestly, I would still place Bridge Guy at the 5'6", not 5'4", because again, it's been 5'4" and 5'6". But if I'm going to trust anything, I'm probably going to trust his jail picture, which has the 5'6" beside, his head when you look across. That seems like the most accurate information to me than trying to guess, is he 5'4"? I mean, honestly, 5'4" is, dang, that's like really short. But I think he's a little bit taller than that. I think he is more the 5'5" to 5'7" area, but probably more 5'5" to 5'6" on there. Yeah, all your shoes and socks before measuring you. So, right. And if somebody has boots on, probably 5'6.5". I'd probably give him at best with boots on. After mid-December, I can. Well, I'll tell you, I have from December 20th off up and, well, too bad the trial will be over then, but whatever. Christmas time's coming, right? December 20th off to January 5th. I think go back. So January 4th. Alexa,
Hello, how are you? How's everybody?
just looking at your wrist.
I just, I came in, I said, you know what, let me just put my pajamas on and take everything off because I'm like too tired. So I
Yeah,
apologize. This is the Alexa After Dark, the
I
PG version.
yeah. Well, I know you had, like I said, I was just saying that you were coming home, but
Yeah,
you,
crazy day, but
yeah,
we made
how,
it. The kids had fun, which is the most important thing. Everybody
mm,
got home safe, so that's the important thing. So that's
yeah. I was actually trying on my Halloween costume for work today. It came in yesterday through Amazon. So I'm gonna
uh-huh.
be like uh 80s, right? Like with the little colorful tutu. I think my wig
Ooh,
comes tomorrow.
like
But
the Madonna style kind of thing.
yeah, like girls just want to have fun type of vibe. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I'm too boring for that kind of fun shit, right? And
That's
my
nice.
makeup
You
came
should.
in.
You have to take pictures and show us how you look.
Yeah, I'll take
Are
pictures.
you gonna like tease your hair and like put it like back
Oh
in
no,
the days?
I got a
Oh, you
wig
gonna?
coming tomorrow. It's
Oh.
like multiple colors,
Uh-huh.
kind of like, I would call the hair more like a unicorn color hair.
Uh-huh.
But it matches with some of the, anyways, basically 80s chick. And not only that, but I do love my 80s. Okay. Like my hair, people will always make fun of my hair and say, still living in the 80s. Yeah.
Yeah.
Still got an ugly face,
I know. I did my 80s poof today. I
Anyway,
can't see the chat because again, like
it's okay.
literally everybody came home passed out. And my husband passed out, and I didn't even want to go to my office to get my computer. So I apologize, everybody. Just
Yeah. No. Hi, brutally honest. Kitty Cat, where's Aspen? Isn't he in the courtroom? I haven't
he's
heard from
probably
him.
having fun right now at the party.
Yeah, he's at a Halloween party, and he was on yesterday. Um, and then he was only on for a few minutes, like a few nights ago. But yesterday he was on more. But yeah, I already talked to him today. Nothing ground earth shattering that happened today, besides maybe the defense still, crumbling whenever they're asked about something. Okay, so Alexa,
Mm-hmm.
let's talk a little bit about today's Gerry Holeman stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and about the fact that that he's not going to confess to anything, or he's not going to, what did I got done? 1 second. I got it on my iPad here. um do. Okay, hold on, because I always sometimes message myself, okay.
Yeah, I do that too. So I remember.
Yeah. Okay, so one of the things I already talked about was a little bit, was Richard Allen claims that he had been talking to that they had been talking to the neighbors, and it was like over. What he meant by that was that, of course, he says that basically they were talking to his people at his job and stuff like that. And it's like, dude, it's you literally just got the search warrant to you today, so all of that stuff didn't happen. So I don't know if his brain is small pea-sized on that one, and he doesn't really remember, or if he's talking about, well, all the people that are around him looking at him, but nobody really, to me, still says it's over if you're innocent. If you're innocent, you're not going to be asking, like, what was he asking about his wife again? If he can go see his wife, but he said something like, is his wife, was it something like, is his wife being charged, or is his wife in custody, or something like
Yeah,
that?
like if the wife needed a lawyer, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so talking about that part, the it's over. If you,
Yeah.
I mean, just in general, as a general human being, but okay. So anyone that doesn't know, obviously, Alexa, she's been a criminal profiling expert, graphologist, and a body language expert. So in saying that, typically, um, those words would mean to you
Yeah,
if
to me, obviously, I'm not a statement analysis, but of course, when somebody says, it's over, if he said it the first, like, like when we were talking last night, if he said it in the context of his house, like, oh, they're gonna rip my house, and that kind of context, you say, okay, but the fact that he said it twice, you think about it. To me, it almost sounds like I don't care.
yeah,
Again, I go back to consciousness of guilt, and consciousness of guilt. Part of it is that they know that they're caught. What do they care anymore? And we're going to
yeah,
go back to that a little later, because you're going to see another consciousness of guilt a little later as
mhm.
we go on. And I think you took it the same way too. I think most people took it that
I
way.
think you know what? Let me put it this way: the people that I personally find grounded, with common sense thinking, critical thinking, most of the people have said that it's a sign of guilt. Even John Kelly, I just finished
Oh,
listening to
really?
his,
Oh, is that what you sent me? I didn't get a chance to see
yeah.
it.
So
Yeah.
John Kelly had his psychologist friend on there, and he said, never in his time, ever, 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 has he ever had someone confess from being confined in solitary, not
Hmm.
for that specific reason, which the defense is trying to say. Now,
Hmm.
the expert, the psychologist said he had on with him, a friend of his, said John asked him the same question. In all the time that you've worked in the prisons, has
Oh,
there been anyone that you've ever known that has confessed 61 times to, because of them being in solitary confinement? And his answer was no, um, based on that part, right? And that's because the defense did say that, like that the psychosis. So they agreed that he could be in psychosis at some point and stuff like that,
yeah.
but just based on like solitary confinement that somebody would confess 61 times. And they also believed about when someone has guilty knowledge, as well, saying like it's over, then that he
Mhm.
wanted to go to the heavens with his family, but because obviously in this life he won't be, probably seeing them again, like, you know what I mean, as a family,
He's gonna go to heaven.
so um,
Okay.
right, so
Delusional a little.
so what does it's on tape, Sonny. Jerry Holman asking him what did he mean by it's over, and RA answers, we will get to see the tape. It will be public eventually. Yeah, okay. Yeah,
Oh, so it's on tape?
well, it's on tape. Jerry Holman asking him, what do you mean it's over? No, that one wasn't on tape.
I thought that was
That-
the interview. That was
right.
not on tape.
They said that we would get to see the two interviews. But that part where he said it's over isn't on tape.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. That was a part of,
Yeah.
the beginning what wasn't being taped.
No, that we'd get to see like two of the tapes, like I guess the interview or maybe the drive.
Oh, I would love to see that interview.
Yeah.
And first of all, hi, Callie. I just saw that she was there. I can't see
Yeah.
the chat, but I just saw it. Hi, everybody, Ben and everybody, Sharon, everybody that's there.
Yeah.
Yeah, again, that consciousness, that it's over, that, twice being used, that really, I think you can see a little bit. And I think, like we can jump into the second thing that struck me from today. The fact, obviously, a detective knows a lot of body language, because not only they're trained to pick up things, like especially, I don't believe too much, it has to be everything, because it's not just because you look this way or you look that way or you scratch your face, but everything helps. And of course, a lot of tics or mania to the face, you can tell you can tell many things by that, but not just one thing. But I love how he said that he picked up, body language. And I was like, that's very interesting that he did. And he noticed deception. So that was very interesting to see. Obviously, he's a veteran of the force. he knows that
Yeah.
he has probably done so many interviews that he sees that.
You talking
So
about John
no, Holeman.
Holeman?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, with Holeman, like, I'm just really confused. Like, I'm actually just confused. Like, as I was kind of saying to you, like, like the way that he answered some of the questions, it's like, really, dude? Like, all I keep feeling like is, you know, they just can't admit to fucking up. Yes,
He
he
admitted
admitted.
it, and I love
Yeah,
that. I love the fact that he said that they screwed up, and that takes a lot to say.
but that's the thing is that, I mean, the thing is that they keep asking them many questions like, would you have done this differently or that differently? And as a normal person, yeah, okay, we would have taken more pictures of the bullet, probably. We would have, there's like so many things that he keeps doing. So I actually, by him admitting mistakes, okay, sure, great, thanks, you did. But you guys have done so many. But all I keep myself feeling is it's like it's really hard for them to get past the fact of admitting these mistakes until to the point where it's like, well, yeah, I mean, we lost tapes, we lost this. I guess I got to
Oh,
kind of
because it
say,
looks bad. And also, I think, it's a big case. So it's not
yeah,
only mistakes, but the things that these mistakes are going to cost them. Imagine if he walks free and we know that he's guilty, or they know that he's
oh, I
guilty,
see.
and he walks away because of the mistakes. So I think that's why they're having such a hard time. But I did
Mm,
appreciate that he said, "Hey, we made mistakes." So I don't think. I mean, yes, I always told you from the beginning. I always told you. I always had the feeling, small town. I'm not gonna give you the whole thing again, but I always thought it was a small town. They didn't know what to do, and they fucked it up. The
mm,
FBI came in, but because the FBI didn't have jurisdiction to
okay.
say, "Hey, we're
Mhm.
taking over," the FBI say, "Hey, can we help you?" And they said, "No, we got it," because they didn't want to appear as being weak, whatever, and they screwed up. And now
Yeah,
what? So now it happened. What can they do? Now they have to do what's best. But I did appreciate the fact that he said we screwed up. I think also you have to understand detectives, and no offense to anybody who's a detective. I work with so many detectives. They're type of people that always come off with a big ego. They always have like big egos,
yeah,
even if they don't, but they always come off like that. And they always come off like they know more than you, and then they're better than you. And it's almost like I don't like stupidity. I'm not gonna even answer your questions type of thing. And that's just the way they are.
yeah. But is the jury a regular person? That's just it, though. Is that's the way I felt today about it when I was listening to like his answers.
Mhm.
I was like, oh, he needs to tone down that ego. And it was almost
Mhm.
like that sarcasm. Like, now, first of all,
Yeah.
I want to retract something because I think this is what Brutally Honest was talking about. So when he went back and asked Richard Allen what he meant by that part will be in the interview, not when he said it's over. But in the
Mhm.
interview, he said, what did you mean by it's over? And that's when he said that. I think that's
Mhm.
what he's referring to. Now, I was going to say, like, when it comes to the only person I totally can't stand, like, honestly, is Tobe Lesenby. I just find him just sorry, but a fat, arrogant, bubble gum chewing asshole. I do not like that guy. There's something about him that rubs me the wrong way. And every time he opens up his lips,
Lazenby is the one with the
yeah,
glasses and the mustache, right?
yeah, he just can't. You know what? It's it's when somebody, looks. And no offense, but I'm just gonna say it. Looks like him, and then they act like they're a freaking 10, and it reminds me of small penis syndrome or small
Oh,
man syndrome. That's what it reminds me of when somebody is very insecure or truly inside, and then they come off like that they're like just like full of themselves, and then but the biggest turn off with me with him is when he was smack chomping on his gum during an interview, and
oh,
all you could hear was
yeah, like a
and it's just
cow.
like
Yeah.
and so anything about him just irritates me. But
Yeah.
anyway, after
But we
Holeman,
go back to that. They have a little bit of that arrogance. And I always thought it was only New York. Because they always think, oh, the NYCD, PD, whatever, NYPD, and then, or, even Nassau or Suffolk County. But no, I met other cops from other jurisdictions, detectives from other jurisdictions in other states, and they are the same. So I think they have a little bit of that syndrome.
well, I mean, as for any of the other ones, I don't actually think anything about them. Like, for instance, Gerry Holeman. I don't know enough about the dude to even like, do you know what I mean at all? Because it's really just about the fact of what he's saying, in his say testimony and stuff like that. But I mean, how laughable though to me, like for me, and like me and Lexa got a little bit of different thoughts on this part. But how laughable was it when he said that about Richard Allen looking down and because when you watch all those like EMU on YouTube and stuff like that, all those in the whatever in the interrogation room things that where they talk, the psychologist kind of talks the way through it about
Mm-hmm.
certain meanings like of what possibly could be when they do this or they
Mm-hmm.
shift their body and stuff like that. And then so when the defense though came back and said, well, Gerry Holeman, like Mr. Holeman, you look down all the time. Is that a sign of guilt? And he said something like, could be. Yeah, like
Ah, yeah, but that's what I said. That's what I mean. That somebody that does something doesn't mean that necessarily, they're lying.
well, yeah.
You know, it's
Whatever.
just, it's just that, for example, like I close my eyes a lot when I talk because,
Hmm.
because of my brain thing.
Yeah.
My brain is telling me so many things, but my mouth is slower. So sometimes I have to close down to kind of like start pulling, like physically pulling information. And
Yeah.
if you would see somebody maybe see it, be like, oh, but when people close their eyes, they're lying. But no, it has to be. That's why I said it's not just one thing. You have to look at everything.
Yeah. I
And
know.
also you need to know a baseline because, for example, somebody like me, okay, I have a tumor in my brain tumor. So that, do I qualify the same as a regular person? Or somebody
Mhm.
that has something else, or for example when somebody is drunk or somebody takes medications. So so that's why always in interrogations you need to kind of learn their base,
Yeah.
what's normal for them. Yeah, somebody
Well,
might have a tick and they do as a tick, and it's not
well,
that they're lying to you, they just have a tick.
well,
So
that I was going to say, I have a clear example of that at work. So whenever I have my value, so I don't like putting people on hold too much. I would rather kind of keep the conversation going instead of making them like sticking them on hold. But a lot of
mhm,
times, without realizing that I'm doing it, because I have to go to different pages in the different uh,
mhm,
webs like the our programs, and so I might have to go to multiple programs to get to one thing. And during that time, I might go, okay, let me see here. Let me just, okay. So I use kind of like filler words a little bit as I'm
mhm,
kind of communicating. Now, I, it, I'm told that it comes off like as if I lack confidence. I don't lack any confidence when I'm doing a phone call. It's just my, what you want to call baseline.
mhm,
It's how I am
mhm.
all the time. I kind of just, I don't realize I use fillers. Like some people are just da 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 da.
Yeah.
I'm just more of a natural speaker.
Mhm.
So it's one of those things is that I get highly commended on my interpersonal skills. But so when I keep seeing that, it could come off like you're not sure about yourself. I'm just like, nope, I'm absolutely
Yeah.
fine. I'm sure
Yeah.
about myself, when I'm helping somebody because I know what I'm doing when I'm going to them. And there's times where I might like be like, nope,
Mhm.
don't know that answer, but let me find out for you. But meaning it's funny how someone can interpretate things. And when I do
Yeah.
watch those EMU or EMW videos and stuff like that,
Mhm.
right, certain things
Yeah.
could mean certain things, but they also might not mean shit, at the end of the day. So to me,
But
it's usually,
usually, I mean, a detective, I mean, usually they have a really good because they've done this before, so they can see it. And it's just not in one thing. Sometimes you look into somebody's eyes and you
it's
know.
things, yeah, together, yeah.
So
Well, so what about, okay, so let's go to the, I do not care what you do to me, I do not care what you say, but I'm not going to confess basically or to anything that I didn't do. And then we got 61 confessions later.
I
And
think that this can be gold. This is like gold because I think this is him saying, I will never admit to anything I didn't do, basically. You will
Yeah.
never catch me admitting to ever anything that I do. But then we turn around and we have 61 confessions of something that you didn't do.
Mhm.
Like, how is that? That is such inconsistency. I really hope the prosecution picks this up and wrote it down and they can bring it back and say, hey, because, that way they can start debanking his credibility. And this is going to be a big one. And I know what they're going to say because they're going to be like, wait a second. He was under distress. He was in psychosis. And, like I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm not a psychologist, but I've seen it many times. I've
Mhm.
seen false confessions, but I
Mhm.
never, ever, ever, ever in my life, I have asked people with 40 years on the force, never heard 61 confessions, false confessions.
Right.
4 or
And
5, yes. 61, never. Not
well,
even a regular confession, 61.
but
So this is excessive.
this is excessive, and we'll soon get to see that play out in court. But let's just go back to the start, like to the kind of like the start of this. So we keep hearing about that they seen Richard Allen's, and I'm just going to be pointing out those things that that seems to be crumbling for them. But they said that they seen Richard Allen's vehicle on the Hoover Store Horror Store video camera, but yet Gerry Holeman today, like said, well, I don't know where he parked. That was the witnesses. That's because of witnesses. We just know that his car. But at the end of the day, is it going to be one of those things that they're going to have, like, meaning, let's just say hypothetically, it could be anyone's Ford Focus that might have went by there, and if he doesn't know where it was parked, and he's going to base it on
Yeah.
the witness. So let's just go with that part of it. So they see this vehicle go by that they believe is Richard Allen's
Hmm.
Ford Focus. Well, unless you got a license plate reader and that you got, him
Hmm.
in that vehicle, that could be somebody else's Ford
Hmm.
Focus that Joe by, because he's saying that, well, I don't know where he parked. That's just
Hmm.
based on witness. So that right there, what do you think about that piece right there?
I think that that is a very cop answer. He doesn't know where he parked because he wasn't there. And he's not one of the witnesses. So he's really saying, I don't know. And the thing is, you're not allowed to speculate. So he's not going to speculate. So he's saying, I don't know where he parked. What he should have said is, I don't know where he parked, but according to the witnesses. But I don't know if they would have struck it. So I
Right.
understand what he's saying.
Okay.
I don't think he means it as like, oh, what an idiot. Of course, I think that's a very cop. That's a very
Right.
cop answer.
But the thing is that I think only one person, and I think it was that Whirliter guy or whatever. I think
Hmm.
he's the only one that even had the best that would can be considered accurate, because we obviously he doesn't drive a purple PT Cruiser. Obviously, he does not drive a Comet. Obviously, he does not drive. Well, I mean, I think Worldster said like it was like a dark smart car. The only thing they have that's similar is that they drew a picture of how a vehicle was parked in, but yet a Ford Focus wasn't said. But I mean, correct. We could sit there and say that they're basing it off of everyone saw a dark
Hmm.
car, but yet that to me testimony seems like that's something that the to me, and I'm just thinking of it like if I was a juror hearing this information,
Hmm.
and that you're getting all these different vehicles. So not only are they probably not sure for 100% if that's Richard Allen's car, and they're only placing that with him because he said he was at the bridge at that time,
Hmm.
and then the jury uses it as, okay, so if we believe if we believe that he self-reported himself and put them there at 1:30,
Mhm,
it would make sense that that fell in the timeline. But
mhm.
as for the actual witness testimony, right, between the girls, okay, so as for the car being multiple different things, what do you think about that part of it
Mhm.
from the girls
I
and
don't,
from
I
the
mean,
guy?
I personally don't, I mean, the jury is going to think what they're going to think, but I think at the end they come together and they're going to start exchanging, what they think. And I think, let's say somebody says, hey, I don't know, they see so many cars, da, da, da. But then there can be, hopefully, God willing, there will be another juror that's going to be like, wait a second, but they all said dark car. And that's what I'm telling you, that I think that's going to happen, that they're all going to come to the conclusion that nobody said a green car. Nobody said a different car that it wasn't. They all said
Yeah, they
they
said
all said
purple.
something similar. I mean, we all understand memory. I mean, hopefully, I mean, I think somebody said that the jury varies in age. And I think the most experienced ones, they're gonna know that memory is not something that you can
Right,
trust 100%.
right. But husband, do you need me? Husband? No, that's not him. Okay. But I guess my point being, as we get to the next point, then we have brown puffy hair. We have a 5 foot 10 description. We have a youthful 20 to 30 year old.
Mhm.
And that fourth picture is by what's her name? Something Liebert, something
Yeah,
Liebert.
but that's gonna be the same. The
But
jurors are gonna be like, everybody recalls differently. And memory is one of the worst. But the best thing that you have against that is he admitted himself that he was there.
well, that's what
So
I'm
they
saying.
saw him. So somebody must have seen him. And maybe he looked different, or, they didn't see him, whatever. I mean, the height, I mean, I was very furious because they said it cost $10,000. Seriously? So
Mhm.
then why didn't they call the FBI and say, hey, can
And
you help us with this?
but that's what I mean. Like we can sit there and go from the car to
Yeah.
them not even putting like so meaning the car on the video they can't I'm sure that they can't prove that that was his car that they're just going to try to tie it into his timeline that he said but that's what I'm kind of going with is that
And I
then we
always thought there was video of him in the car. Because it was always said that there was a video that it had
right
his
of his
car.
car. Right. But so if you're a juror listening in and you hear them and they can't even pinpoint down like the actual color of the vehicle besides saying a dark one or purple one or a comet and stuff like that, meaning if you heard that and then you heard all these different witnesses and stuff like that, and then you hear four girls in a sense because there was four girls, not three, but four. But we've
Mhm.
only ever heard from three. So meaning at that point, then the only thing that even becomes of to me the most important thing like all I'm trying to say is that you know when that's just like guesswork going eeny meeny miny mo is this person saying this and they can't even say that that's what he
Yeah,
looks like.
I know what you're saying. I think you're scared that he's gonna get off, I think.
Well it's
But
not it's well yes but that's because of all the fuck ups that are
Mhm,
just atrocious. I mean, from the
mhm,
hair strand to the calling off of the dogs to the losing the videotapes to the muddy and bloody of Sarah Carbaugh,
mhm.
everything to me and to the gun, right? I mean, when I re-listened to about the gun testimony, I was like, whoa, wait a second here. Hold on a second. Because I was watching Pat Brown talk about it
Mhm.
and listening to her talk about that, and I was like, oh, wait a second here. I obviously wasn't paying full attention there because, from all the times that they tried to get the extraction and whatever, and that something about what was it? Something about six, the assessment of six. Can't remember exactly the wording, but anyways, and then I'm like, well, shit. Even the jury can't really believe that that was his bullet, really, because
Mm,
so everything just seems like it could crumble with because
mm.
there's no tying to this truly. The only thing that even ties Richard Allen to the bridge for sure is his own testimony or his own admissions.
Admission. Yeah.
That's it. That's right. And then they started talking about, well, could there, now this is this is obviously ridiculous, but could there have been another guy? And that's what a lot of us thought for a long time, that behind the bridge guy was
Mm-hmm.
other people that were there waiting at the end of the bridge. And they can't even tie that it's his voice besides them saying it, but it's not like his down the hills there and stuff like that. So, but it's kind of like, so really, dude, so if this person's walking on the bridge and some other guy comes and takes them and you're there and you see it and, type of thing, that wouldn't make sense still. But
Mm-mm.
I mean, that possibility definitely is left open to the fact that, was there somebody else behind the girls that pops up and says, guys, down the hill type of thing? Because we don't, you know what I'm saying, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
As much as we want to believe that the
Mm-hmm.
one guy, Richard Allen, if it's him saying it, there's so much reasonable doubt to me
Mm-hmm.
at this
Mm-hmm.
point. And so my thing, where I'm at right now, personally, Alexa, is that unless there is absolute clarification out of Richard Allen's mouth, in a sense, saying that have things to do with the crime scene and
Mm-hmm.
why perhaps he was interrupted, even if that's even part of his thing in the confession.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not even close to being there
Yeah.
with a conviction for
I
him.
think, I mean, I think it's still early. I mean, it's still early. I think, yes,
Yeah.
I think things might not be 100%, but I'm confident. I am very confident that he will be found guilty. I am very confident that, the confessions, when they come to the confessions, they will be able to link him. I mean, so far that nobody has ever said, is this the guy that you saw on the bridge? And I
Right.
don't understand, because everybody says bridge guy, but they haven't tied bridge guy to Richard Allen. And that I don't understand why
No,
they weren't like, okay, you saw bridge guy. Is this the same guy that is sitting here?
well, they have said that.
They did?
Like, yes, like meaning that
Oh,
they
okay,
were,
because I didn't hear it. I didn't hear it. So I was like,
well,
oh,
I think this is what you're meaning. So basically, they all gave some different descriptions, but once they were shown the video, they were like, "Yes, that's the guy that we saw that crossed our
yeah.
paths."
But did they say that bridge guy that you saw the same guy that is sitting here in front of us?
Oh no, because they can't.
That's
No,
what I mean.
no, 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 no.
That's what they haven't done. They haven't
Yeah,
they'd introduced the bridge guy, but they haven't introduced Richard Allen. They haven't said bridge guy is Richard Allen. And that's what I'm not liking. And
that
I'm
well,
getting
yeah.
afraid that
To me,
nobody has said, hey, you saw bridge guy. Okay.
mhm.
Is this who you saw that day? And point at him.
I s- the when it's the defense turn to get up, I think that they are going to crush the prosecution with all the fuck ups. I think that
Yeah. I think the fuck ups
I
are going
think
to
they're going
be,
to make them look stupid.
they're going to
Seriously.
be obvious. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's why I think it will come down to, if the jury believes that that is his car, that he is own self-reporting twice, and those little other details that might come into play. Like, I don't necessarily going to hold weight too much on the it's over thing, because
Hmm.
you can just bullshit and make up a
Yeah.
reason why you said that after you have time to think about it.
Hmm.
And stuff like that. But so I think that the most weight is going to be held in those confessions. And honestly, I feel like if it's not there, I don't see a conviction myself at this point. Like, if, unless I hear like that, because I
No.
feel like the defense is going to destroy the prosecution with their incompetence. Because, and the jury's going to be like, really? They didn't even take the sticks? Really? They lost
Yeah.
video?
No, I think it's
Really?
very obvious the
Really?
fuck up. But I also want to see, where the defense wants to take it. They haven't ruled whether the organism can come in yet, have they?
No, they've asked for it again, but they'll get denied.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that they're going to keep trying to push that because of the
Yeah.
fact of, like, even Gerry Holeman, but all of us. Okay, now I don't know why JLR said this the other day, because I don't believe that this was true. Most people did not believe that the girls were shot. Most people believed that a gun was pulled out, but most
Yeah.
people believed that they had
That was
died.
always a rumor. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, so that's what happens when people really don't follow the case too well,
Mm,
and they put out that kind of information and stuff like that. And honestly, and that's the same thing with the lawyers.
yeah,
Um,
that they don't know. Yeah.
right. It's like they do a good job at telling about the court and explaining, and they do a really good job at that. But
But
when
they
it
don't
comes
know
to
the case. Yeah.
details, right, and that's where it's kind of like nice when, say, one of the lawyers is talking to someone that's been following the case for a long time. That can give a little bit more
Hmm.
details and stuff like
Inside.
that.
Yeah.
It was like I was just watching the CNN news, and they had that same map where it was like girls entered here, bodies are way past Ron Logan's. They
Oh
couldn't even
my.
get that right. And I'm just like, come on. It's just
Jesus.
when it comes to the case, you want to make sure with the families that you know their names. When you're talking about, Becky or Mike or Kelsey and stuff like that, there's a difference between, I think it's just from a kind of like that little bit of moral standpoint that if you're gonna talk about dead, the dead victims' families, you kind of
Yeah.
should know the names of them before you sit there and do lives a little bit, or giving grace, of course. But yeah, so that's just a pet peeve, right? But whatever,
Yeah. No,
But
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 it's
yeah.
true.
So anyways, what else? What else you got? What else? Because um, I think, what did they say? What was coming in tomorrow? What was
No,
it?
not tomorrow, Monday. Well,
Or
today
Monday?
is,
Sorry.
yeah, Sunday to me. But
Did I spell Jerry Holeman wrong? Is it with? Well, it's because I saw it somewhere today and somebody put a G. That's why I put G for Jerry. Guess I'll have to fix that. Dang. So as I'm saying that, then I get that wrong, but he doesn't count. He's not family member. But it's because I literally was looking at someone that spelt it in their
I know
thing, and
somebody spelled it with two L's too, and I was like, wait a second, isn't it just one? And then I started doubting myself, and I was like, maybe it's two, and
I
I've
know.
been spelling it wrong myself. I'm like, oh,
I mean, hell, I've spelled Delphi wrong before and stuff like that.
yeah, please.
But yeah, I was literally looking at somebody's spelling of Jerry, and because
Mm.
I know the name, but I always get him mixed up with the Holcomb guy. There, Ivy, she's probably having a good laugh at me right now with that one. Better get the
Uh,
name right. He doesn't count though; he's not a family
so
member.
who comes on Monday? Do we
uh,
know?
I was gonna say, what was it that was coming out Monday? Did you guys hear? Well, you know what? Give me a second though. Because I
Sure.
really have to go to the bathroom. Let me just quickly play this 4 minute and 21
Okay,
second.
good. I can run too, just to get
Okay.
water. Okay.
Okay.
Just a half day in court today for day 8 of the Delphi murders trial, and the jury only heard from one witness. It was 2 years ago today that police arrested Richard Allen for the murders of Abby Williams and Libby German. One of the lead investigators today talked about his interview with Richard Allen around the time he was arrested. Our Emily Longnecker was in the courtroom this morning and breaks down his testimony.
The jury heard from just one witness today, Indiana State Police Lieutenant Gerry Holeman, who's one of the lead investigators on this case. Holeman described for the jury an interview he did with suspect Richard Allen just a few weeks after serving that search warrant on Allen's home. Holeman told the jury he used several interviewing techniques he'd been trained to do, like first trying to build a rapport with Allen, discussing their mutual military service. Holeman testified he then told Allen police matched the gun taken from his home to the unspent cartridge found at the murder scene, but Allen repeatedly denied knowing how it got there. Holeman told jurors, quote, "He kept telling me there was no way that was his bullet. No way that bullet came from his gun." Holeman also told the jury during that October 26, 2022 interview, Allen denied 20 to 25 times being involved with the murders or having a gun on the trail that day. Holeman said Allen told him he'd never been hunting for animals or wild mushrooms near the crime scene and never had an explanation for how a bullet matching his gun got there. Holeman testified he also lied to Allen during the interview, another technique Holeman said he learned in training. Holeman said he told Allen police had an expert who identified him as bridge guy on the video from Libby's cell phone. That wasn't true. Holeman described Allen as becoming agitated and said Allen told him, quote, "I'm not going to tell you something I didn't do. I don't care what you do to me. I'm not going to tell you I did something I didn't do. Holeman also told the jury that during Allen's interview, he asked him about something he claims Allen said while police searched his house 2 weeks earlier. Holman testified Allen told him at the time, quote, "It doesn't matter, it's over." Holman said he asked Allen about those statements and told the jury what Allen said next. Quote, "He said the damage was done, that we interviewed his neighbors and coworkers, and that everyone thought he did it." Holman said Allen told him that police had, quote, "ruined his life." At one point, Holman testified Allen's wife, Kathy, came into the interview room and Holman left, but still observed them. When Kathy left the room, Holman said he returned, saying, quote, "I told him his wife and I didn't think he was a bad person." Holman testified what Allen replied, quote, "What kind of good person would kill 2 girls?" At some point, Holman said Allen told him, quote, "Take all your evidence and just arrest me." When the interview was over, that's what happened. The defense tried to go after the tone of Holman's interview with Allen. In cross-examination, attorney Andrew Baldwin asked Holman, quote, "The nice, calm guy on the stand isn't the same guy Richard Allen experienced in 2022, is it?" Holman replied, quote, "It is." Baldwin also asked Holman if he told Richard Allen in that interview there were, quote, "people that wanted to lock you up and throw away the key," and if he also asked Allen whether he realized, quote, "the death penalty is on the table." Holman acknowledged saying both to Allen that day. Baldwin also asked Holman if he believed one person committed this crime. Holman replied, quote, "I believe that now. Yes," explaining that if more than one person had been involved, he believes someone else would have come forward. Finally, the defense managed to get this lead state police investigator to admit errors in the investigation. Baldwin asked about police leaving the bloody sticks investigators found on Abby and Libby's body at the crime scene, then going back later to collect them. He also asked why female relatives of the girls weren't DNA tested earlier on to rule them out as the person whose hair was found in Abby's hand. Baldwin said, quote, "There's been mistakes in this case." Holman replied, quote, "There's been mistakes, yes." Defense attorney Andrew Baldwin also asked for those 2 videos of interviews that Allen did with police to be shown to the jury. Both sides decided that the jury will see those videos next week.
That will be interesting. Like I said, as it moves on and just the other things that we'll hear in all of this. Still, for me, there's just so many missed opportunities. What I wanted to talk with you about, Alexa, because people that don't watch those interrogation videos, the read technique is a well-known technique, and they are allowed to lie to you. They are allowed to try to get a confession out of you. Now, in saying that, so just again, maybe explain to people, because you know about that, the read technique.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously I'm not a cop, but I always seen it, and I was always fascinated by it. So the read technique, I'll tell you the pros and the cons. Basically, what they do is they make the suspect sometimes become it's almost like they act friendly. They can act friendly and be like, "I'm your friend," to hook them. Then when they hook them, they can start pushing them. Like, "Oh, I know so many cases or so many people that when they confess, they feel better." And sometimes they can say, "Hey, you know what, Sonny? I have your DNA. I just spoke to them." Sometimes they walk out of the room on purpose and they come back and then they say, "You know what? Your DNA matches." And of course that's BS, because sometimes there's not even DNA, but
Right.
because they know they did it, they start falling for it. So that's a very, well-known technique that most of them do. And they are allowed to lie. They even allowed to push and, do some things so now the criticism with that is saying that that is not ethical. That shouldn't be ethical, that they shouldn't lie to them because it's almost like coercing a
Right.
confession. So that's, but I mean, I've seen most, I would say like 90% of the cops that I've seen, the detectives that I've seen, they use the read technique.
Yeah.
And they use it beautifully.
Yeah, and I see it all the time.
Yeah.
We know that big case in Canada.
Yeah, I remember that you were so familiar with it. Yeah, when I mentioned
Well,
it.
it's just because on EMW, which is the one that they talk about, like
Mhm.
as going through the interrogation, they talk about the body movements and what things could mean possibly,
Mm-hmm.
and about the read technique. And right, a lot of times you want them to almost feel, and then we saw it with Christopher Watts as well.
Yes,
You know
that's
what?
another one. Yeah, perfectly.
I'm here to help you.
Yeah.
Like, talk to me because I just want to do the best thing for you. And
Mm-hmm.
they start off with the whole getting to know them, you're getting to make them feel
Mm-hmm.
comfortable. And then usually then at some point it's going to be like, bam. So I'm just going to be
Mm-hmm.
honest. This is what we have on you. Da, 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 da. And again, they might have someone else in the other interrogation room and they might say, you know what? Well, Jake just admitted to everything. So, why don't
Mm-hmm.
you start from the
Yep.
start,
Mm-hmm.
and go through it because he's accusing you of
And then
being.
they started spilling all the beans. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Mhm. And this
Yep.
is why you're not supposed to talk to the police. You should just get a lawyer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
I always watch what's the name of this lawyer? Oh my God.
the
Oh
lawyer,
God. The no, not the lawyer, oh my God, the self-snitching. Oh, Bruce
Oh,
Rivers. I
oh,
don't know if
okay.
you ever seen him. I love him.
I
And he
have.
always says the first thing you do is shut the fuck up.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
don't talk to for nothing. And it's
yeah,
true. Like, zip it. You don't say anything.
yeah. My feeling with this case is that Richard Allen is the person. It's guilty knowledge coming out about it. But, just by the things that he said, self-reporting and stuff like that. But I feel like I said, the guilty knowledge of seeing himself on frickin' the news and
Oof.
then shitting his pants to know that someone's because it's because you cannot look at from a third party perspective in that case. When you see yourself, you see everything about you. It's like having a zit on your face. It might
Yeah.
be normal to somebody else, but to you, it's the most hugest thing ever. So
Yeah.
for him to see himself, he's seeing his own details. He's seeing his jacket,
Hmm.
let's say, his
He
jeans,
knows
his
he's guilty. He knows
yeah.
he did it.
So of course he's going to have to either self-report, and I think it is to do more with that than say his wife nudging him to do it, like or not nudging, but you know what, his knife going,
Yeah.
well, you were there. I think it's more he saw himself. He was like, oh shit,
Yeah. Shit. I
I
have
need
to go and say it before it
to.
becomes an issue.
Right. And the thing is that you do have to wonder, Alexa, why did he place himself during the times of the murder? Like, why, instead of this whole new theory coming out or that one that they're trying to portray of
Hmm.
him leaving at 2:15, why would you think that he actually would have placed himself during the time frame that, say, if he committed the murders that he did that? Because someone could say, well, why would you, I can, like, you self-reported, but you literally also placed yourself there. Like, why wouldn't you have said a little
You know
bit?
why? Because in that particular, he wasn't thinking. He was telling the truth.
That's
It's
what
one
I
of
say.
those things that come right from your brain that you're telling the truth. There you go. Yeah, you're going there because, oh my God, somebody saw me. So I am going to tell, yeah, because I would have been like, hey, I was there, but you know what? I was there until 5. Or I
Right.
was there at 12 before
Yeah.
it happened or after. But he didn't because he knew somebody saw him.
Uh-huh.
So
Yeah.
it was one of those things like I would tell them before they tell me.
Yeah.
And you know what? It worked perfectly. I wonder how he probably felt when a year passed by, 2 years passed by, he probably was like, oof, they're not on to me. He was
Mhm.
probably laughing that they're after KK
That's what
and
I
the
was thinking.
father and everything.
Well, I when I have it right, when I have it in my head, when Doug Carter is standing up there and he's showing this puffy brown haired person that's like
Mm-hmm.
20 to 20, like about 25 years old,
Yeah.
and he's saying, you didn't realize that we'd switch gears, did you?
Uh-huh.
Basically. And all I feel is embarrassment in the sense of if it's if Richard Allen knows that he did that and they literally brought out this sketch that was totally opposite of what he
Yeah.
looked like, and Doug Carter's up there going, but you didn't think we'd switch
I think
gears,
he
did
knew
you?
right then, like, they're not gonna catch me.
Right.
They're
I
not gonna catch me.
I kind of had a right. I think it was that point that I was like, oh my God. Like internally, he must be going, huh, okay then. Go ahead and
Yeah.
switch those gears, Carter, because that sketch looks nothing like me.
Yeah.
You know.
But I would have loved to seen his face when they showed up and say, "Hey, we're here for this." Oh,
Mhm.
I would
Yeah,
have paid. Oh yeah,
right.
yeah.
Hey,
Like Ivy said, the tentacles. I would like to know where are the
yeah.
tentacles.
Well, and it's because they thought that there was more than one person involved. That's why the whole tentacles.
I
Because remember,
always said I don't think I always said the on a living. I knew that it was one person, but I would have sworn that there were another person alluring those girls there
right?
or
Same.
getting something
Yeah.
there.
Right. Like, I mean, like I said, that I feel that the defense is just going to have a heyday with all of these things. Bringing in, if they are allowed to bring in KK, Chadwell, you got Cubby
Yeah.
there, sitting there, Butterhorn Boy there, sitting there, saying that he and his dad committed it, the Dread Jeep and all that stuff. And, I mean, honestly, the tentacles, the whole, even when they,
Other
remember when they,
actors. Remember they said
well,
other actors?
well, that's just it. Because remember when they basically stopped people or the family from talking about the case, and
Mm-hmm.
and basically they had said that's because they as well believe that there was other actors, so that's why they want to keep the documents or whatever closed,
Sealed.
sealed. Yeah,
Mhm.
and so yeah, like honestly, and then it turns out just to be one person, and hence why Gerry Holeman was like, yeah, well,
Well, almost like half a person, but yeah, sure.
yeah. And so it's actually through their information that has made this case a circus that it is. Again, if they would have done the height thing, right, they
Yeah.
would have at least had some sort of area instead of people going, is it the 6'2" guy? Is it the 6 foot guy?
Yeah, because
You know,
the most men are between 6'10". I mean
no,
6'8" and like 6'10".
no,
But
most, no, not six, five, five,
I
eight, and
mean
five.
I'm sorry, yes, yes, yes. 5'10", 5'10" above, that's average for a male. But I mean, if you would have put it 6'4" to 5'6", again, five
Yeah,
four to 5'6", that would have excluded so many people
they
that you
went
wouldn't even be looking at Ron Logan. The poor Ron.
well, that's just it. But again, would have, could have, didn't do a lot of things. How do you not test a hair? Like
Yeah,
this is what the jury's going to see. They're going to be like, you know what? They can't prove
idiots.
that. Well, they're going to think to themselves, you know what? They can't prove that that's Richard Allen's car. They can't prove what vehicle was on the thing. They
They
can't
didn't
prove,
test.
they didn't test, right? They, and this, and you know what the thing is that you heard that there was testimony about the footprints as
Mhm.
well, like that the rocks and that had been disturbed and you could see footprints.
Yeah,
Do we have any footprints? Do we have anything for footprints? No.
I don't understand how that. Well,
So so just like that just seems like
yeah,
if you
but
could
at the
stack
same
manure.
time, you have the double, the other side of the story that yes, okay, he was there. They supposedly found a bullet, although the bullet is up in the air because, we can't prove it 100%, but they believe that it is his. We don't know 100%. And well, what else do we have for him? Oh, and he was dressed
Yeah,
like the person in the video, and people saw him.
well, now let me
Oh,
ask
and he
you.
confessed.
Let me ask you about that, to be honest with you. So he only said that in his, whatever was it, 2019 interview,
Mhm.
2020, about his clothes. So let me understand this though. He says that he's there, but he now knows, a few years have gone by and they can't figure out who it is. Why then would he tell them that he was wearing a blue Carhartt jacket, jeans, and probably a hat? Like, why then? I can
I
understand
think
if he
you know
said that.
why? Because I think when they interview him the second time, he still doesn't know what he knows. It could be the read technique that they know that maybe they have video of him, but he doesn't know. So he's being truthful. He's saying, hey, I wore that.
Right.
So I think that's why he did it.
Right. I mean, I think he could have at least said, well, I think I was wearing
Mm.
black jeans. And
No, because
like,
I think he probably thought that they were maybe testing him, because I don't think at that point he knew how clueless they were.
well, I mean, that's just it. Well, I don't
Yeah.
know. Few years had gone by. And like I said, was it I think it was 2019,
Yeah.
that interview where they asked him, well, what were you wearing? Oh,
Mhm.
well, since dumbass Doolin didn't ask me what I was wearing the first time, and then somebody cleared my name, and oh my God, I can't even, honestly,
No, that is like that's
I
I
can't
I
even.
am shocked that heads are not rolling. I would have rolled so many heads for that.
Yeah. Oh my God, I was listening to Truth and Transparency for a few minutes, and I really don't watch her channel because
Mm.
I just really don't like her channel, to be honest. I don't like listening to her, to be honest, is the truth of it.
Mhm.
But I haven't watched her in a long time, but I just happened to click on it. I'm telling you, that girl's off the rungs. Like she doesn't know the Delphi case either. Like she has been fought. Like she's sap sucker, milk sucker, of the Idaho 4 case. If someone could write a case forever and a day off that case, that was her. But anyways, when I was listening to her talking about the pancakes, about Derek German, Abby, and all this stuff, and then she's like, and then she says, for all we know, the girls weren't even on the bridge that day. Maybe on the camera roll, it was a whole entire different day and stuff like that.
Seriously?
Oh
Um,
yeah. Oh yeah. I'm just like, you know what? Turn your hat back around and freaking duck your freaking face. Like, are you freaking serious? That's like seriously, when you listen to like people that talk like that, like
yeah.
was it AI? Did they put an AI head on? Like, you know, please go watch those channels. Anyways, there's those
Yeah.
channels. But just when I was listening to that, it was like, well, if you actually knew the facts about the case, you actually would know a lot more than what you're saying because, like of the pictures, because I had actually even spoke to Becky about the pictures about, meaning that Derek had gone into Frankfurt and had, taken some pictures for her and that there was actually no set time that the girls were going to be picked up. It was when he was done. And he had left
Mhm.
about 20 minutes before the girls left for the Monan High Trail Bridge with Kelsey. And
Mhm.
so, right. So then, and that's when Libby called while they were on their way and said, hey, Daddy, can you come pick me up? Type of thing. And so he said, yeah, when he was done. And it wasn't like 18 houses. I don't think it was. It was like he was taking pictures of a house. I think it was the pictures like something happened to them, so we had to go back and retake these pictures. It was something like that. But anyways, there was actually no set time that he was supposed to pick up the girls. It was just when he was done, he was going to call them and then let them know. So that was about just after 3 that he gave a call. I think he arrives at around 3:30ish area to the bridge area. Now that's when he's looking, right? But so this is going to take me back to the point of Sarah Carba. Like, what can you make of the timeline of at 4 o'clock on a road that a bridge guy, unless he just didn't give an absolute shit if he was caught or not, and he just went through every single hole possible. But what do you make of that? Because that testimony, some people don't agree. Like um, some people will think that her testimony was fine. Me,
Mhm.
and I think a lot of people, come on now. You can't say a tan jacket, blue jacket, whether there's mud, see somebody within 3 feet, all this stuff, and then claim that, it just her testimony. So anyways, what do you think about do you
I
think her
mean, the only
testimony
thing I
on
didn't like, I mean, remember we always heard that rumor of the muddy and bloody. We always knew that was a rumor. We always knew that it was 100% rumor. So the only thing that I don't like is the fact that in the transcript that they read her back, and in one she says muddy, and I think the other one she says bloody. And I don't know, in the third one, does she said muddy and bloody? Or she
right.
changes?
So she's
So
basically saying that her interview that said muddy and bloody or something like that, that went missing. But I'm sorry, you still didn't say it in the first interview. You still didn't say it in the second interview, So, and then she didn't even come forward for like 3 weeks. I
Well,
feel
the
like
3 weeks I can understand, and I'll tell
I
you
can
why.
barely.
Because I think, you live in a town that there's not a lot of these crimes. Then you find out there's a crime, and then you go, oh my God, I maybe saw the person who did it, and some people get scared, and a lot of people are scared of the police too. So I understand. I mean, I do applaud her for coming because there's so many people that see things and they don't say anything for whatever
Or
reason.
or did
So I
she
do
just
applaud
insert
her
her?
for coming forward, even if it's 3 weeks later. I wish she would have come in earlier, but three
But
weeks.
or do you think she just inserted herself and she just made it seem like,
No,
you know?
no, I don't think so.
What do you guys think in chat? Because what I have a hard time with is that if someone is going to be in a secluded place like the Monan High Trail Bridge and a place that they frequented, and then they're gonna, like I said, stop, block them from going back over the bridge, and they
Mhm.
forces the girls down, and he does it in secluded woods. For the life of me, I can't imagine someone walking down the road that's all muddy and
But
bloody.
he had to walk at one point to get to his car.
Yeah, but he could have gone through the woods, even if it was to go up to the cemetery and then still stay in the tree line of the woods to get at
You
least.
only thing I can tell
Yes.
you with that is sometimes after doing such a things, their mind is not there. And I've seen it from interviewing a few of them that you go like, what did you do right afterwards? And a lot of them say sometimes they're like, I don't even remember getting home. Or
Well,
I even, I ran like 5 miles and I never run. And they do things that they wouldn't normally do
yeah,
because they go from that high in that thing that their brain is like, especially for a first time.
I guess it's like, I guess we could make up things for everything,
Oh yeah,
reasons.
like if you can
Yeah.
show exactly like where did she see him?
Okay, so she saw him. I think it was about here, like somewhere in this area here,
Mm-hmm.
right? As she
And
was
the car
driving
was where?
east. Yeah, so she's driving east and
Oh,
he's coming this way. So hold on, let me find this. No, sorry, my bad, my bad. I'm in the wrong area. So she sees him somewhere like in this area, I believe
uh-huh.
it is. And because this is a cemetery, so
Yeah.
he sees him somewhere in this area driving east. He's going this way. Can you imagine though? The girls basically are this area
Here.
here, and he goes up here and just starts walking down the road all
Wow.
the way. Like, can you imagine someone that's
I do
taken?
because like he
I
could have
don't.
got disoriented afterwards.
I just I see someone, maybe, but at this point you have to understand though, if the timeline is somewhat accurate to Sarah Carbaz, right? Derek German's already here. If anything, he
Yeah.
was interrupted by Derek probably screaming Abby's in
Calling the
living,
name. Yep.
right? And so at this point too, Becky, Patty, and that's arriving, and Cody, they're arriving to the crime scene. Derek's already here. Now this is the Mears parking lot, right, where they came
Mhm.
through. So it's one of those things. I can't see at this point that no other car has passed him. If he's like, there's no way he's just gonna that nobody else is gonna see him, especially since family members are on the way. And I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me.
But could
It
have
makes
been that maybe he went back,
went back where?
went back into the woods. Maybe he came out for a little and then went back. I mean, we don't know that.
Well, that's just it though. Is that who knows what happened after that? Like, did he come up here and then
Hmm.
deke back in here, and then make his? It seems like if you're gonna take somebody's life, it seems natural that you would, if you got blood all over your
Yeah,
clothes,
you wouldn't
that
go through
you're
the
gonna
road. You would go all
try
the
to
way through the back
disguise
as much as you can.
or like try to disguise it, right? Like
Hmm.
meaning you're gonna try to put your jacket over your arm so it's not as
Hmm.
conspicuous. unless of course you have blood all over, but
Or
it looks
maybe
like,
he didn't have as much. Maybe he thought he
well,
didn't have as much.
he what?
Maybe he didn't think he had as much blood.
Maybe. And it's not like he wasn't multi-dressed.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm curious about that bandana in the creek, to
Yeah,
his.
I've been thinking about it. So let me just get, because I know you know that you probably know one of the people that know the most this case. The one thing is, at one point they said that the girls had a backpack, but the girls didn't have a backpack, right?
No.
Okay.
No, I at some point said maybe Libby had a backpack.
Oh, okay. Okay. So that's
I
why I got
said,
it, because I was like, oh, I
yeah,
no, but
I
it
made
wasn't
that
just you. I
comment.
think somebody else said, I think she had a backpack, and I'm like, I
Maybe,
don't think so,
maybe.
but.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
Um,
bandana was maybe the covering, the face covering,
well,
but then
that's
I'm
just
thinking
it,
DNA.
right? But it would have been it was in the water. Yeah.
No,
So,
you can still get DNA even if it's wet, but
well,
it has a certain period of time.
right, right. But at the end of the day, we don't know for certainty. I mean, that's hopefully going to come out of it. I don't know, like
Mhm.
because I mean, we don't see Abby with a bandana. Um,
No, I
I,
don't think the girl that was probably his
yeah, like if anything, it makes sense that it would be the covering that
that
someone
he
saw.
had. Hmm.
Yeah, it does make sense that it would be that. But I know we have a long ways to go in this, but all I can say is that hi Mark. All I can say is that because there's so many things that they could have, would have, didn't do, and there's so many inconsistencies between
Hmm.
Sarah Carbaugh, between the girls, between 3 girls to 4 girls, that at the moment, to me personally, the
Is
best
that a
piece
slam dunk? Yeah.
is his self-reporting of
Hmm.
it. But like I said, they're in a like that whole thing with why it was misfiled and how they could have put the word cleared on, like how could Doolin, I'm so sorry, but how could Doolin totally forget after he talked to
Yeah.
someone, the one person, like
That
unless,
looks like the person. Yeah.
but it's just
Male, it matches everything. Yeah, I don't understand. How
how do
can
you
he be
forget
so
about
many
someone?
years? How can he watch the interviews with Doug Carter and not say, wait a second, that guy at the parking lot?
Yeah. Well, that's just it. Like he says that he thought that was odd. Usually if something's odd about somebody or something, that usually that sticks out to you in your brain for later purposes, right? Whereas say Kathy Allen, like I was saying, so if Kathy Allen had no clue that her husband was even the BG, how do you know, Kathy Allen, that your husband was sleeping tightly to you that next night? Because you won't remember that. If BG, if Richard Allen was talked to a few days later and never talked to again, you're not going to remember about that. But you
Mm.
are going to remember if there's an important detail to
Big deal,
remember
yeah.
about that next night.
Hmm.
So to me, I don't buy it if she's sitting there saying like, my husband Richard Allen was sitting beside me, because it's just a memory that you
No,
literally
no,
wouldn't remember
no.
uh, unless some sort of tragedy is attached to
Hmm.
it or something that
Hmm.
holds whatever to it. But what was I going to
Yeah, it's
say?
like we were talking, like, I always put this example because it's the best one. You can even tell me what you were
Oh,
doing
yeah.
September 11.
Yeah.
Like we all remember what we were
Most people
doing, where we
remember.
were in September 11. But
But
can you tell me what you were doing September
yeah,
18?
right. So no, couldn't tell you at all.
I
But that
cannot
just
even
goes,
tell you what I was doing this year on September 18, and it was like a month ago.
yeah. Please hit the like button if you guys haven't hit it. Let's see here. There's 23 likes. There's 58. Well, only 2 are from Twitter. The rest of you guys are in here watching. If you guys could hit that like button, that would be great. Now, but going back to Doolin here is somebody says that they're on the bridge from 1:30 to 3:30.
Yeah.
How on earth? I don't give a shit what he says. He's freaking lying. There's definitely lying going on there because you
Do you think so? What do you think? Do you think he
well hold
knew
on.
him?
Well, uh, probably could have. A lot of people have said that.
That they
But
knew each other?
yeah, but you can't tell, even though that's just rumor. That's not a confirmed thing.
Mm,
But you can't tell me that when they kept doing those interviews and Doug Carter going, that they can't account for the
mhm.
person on the bridge, right? Like meaning that they keep trying to pull for a person that was on the bridge.
Yeah.
You're
Even
gonna
if he
tell
was
me,
cleared, why wouldn't you just
well,
say it?
that's just it. You're gonna tell me that the one person that self-reported himself, you're gonna totally forget that he said that he was on the bridge during that time. Your memory is going to be that fucking shitty that you're not going to remember within all these interviews and stations talking about the one guy that's there on the freaking bridge, that you're not going to remember that a guy that you just spoke to
That you
on
just
the
spoke
18th,
to.
yeah,
Mm.
on the 18th or whatever it was, that you're not going to remember that
Because
whatsoever.
that would have been even the thing is that he saw the video and then he sees this guy in person that he would have been like, wait a second, they look similar.
Ben says, are you surprised that nobody else tipped him in over the years? Yeah.
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 And so
Especially him living there and like, his voice and everything. And I don't know. I don't know.
I'd have a hard time even, and I guess we're not in those shoes, but I'd have a hard time being Kathy Allen and watching the bridge guy video and knowing that my husband has a jacket that looks like that it looks
I think
like
with that is,
an,
like you
an
don't
avoid
believe that happens. Like, it's like one of those things. And you have seen it with a lot of the SKs
the whole
that the
family.
wives are clueless, that they come and they're like, no, I mean, they're violent and they're mean and they're like this,
Yeah,
but they would never think of it. So the family, I can
I know.
say, but I'm thinking people that are not related to him, friends and everybody. But I think, again, what covers them? It could be the fact that he had a different persona. And the persona is he's very
Friendly.
nice, he's
Yeah.
quiet. So, would you think somebody like that is capable of that?
I just, what I find hard to believe is in a town of 3,000 people and he's still working there, type of thing that, why didn't we ever, like, I don't know. I don't know. It just seems like it's not a
Ballsy.
big town. There's so many people that kind of would have that. I, it's a hard one because, yes, a lot of people wear blue jackets and blue jeans and put a hat on. A lot of hunters do that, like as their regular stuff.
Yeah, he dresses like
You know,
everybody else. I mean, please, even my dad dresses like that
but I think it would
on
have
a
been easy
Sunday
to
afternoon. So,
pay that fucking 10,000 and get a proper estimated height instead
yeah.
of going from 5'6". I think it was. I feel like it was like it's been so long now. It was like 5'6" to 5'8", then to 5'8" to 5'10". It was something like that.
Yeah.
There was some sort of different height that they took away, gave. Where did the Reddy Brown hair come from? How come we still haven't heard that? Because they clearly had that on the site about the Reddy Brown hair, and yet I haven't seen anything written where we've seen that to why they put that up and stuff like that. Oh, I don't know. Just
Yeah.
I'm looking. I feel like I said, I'm looking forward to those interviews, to hearing that. Looking forward to the confessions the most. Yeah. So, we'll just
Did you
have to.
find out what they have on Monday? Is it a
Yeah.
DNA finally?
Well, no, I think. Yeah, you guys know what we're expecting on Monday again. I can't remember. Whoops.
Give me 1 second. Let me just get a tissue. My eye is bothering me. Give me 1
Yeah.
second.
I need 1 second myself. You guys remember what was coming up on Monday? If they said, because we thought it was supposed to be DNA, but then we're all kind of thinking, well, they don't freaking have DNA. They talked a little bit about DNA in today's testimony, so maybe that's mostly it. I don't know, because I mean the prosecution's not going to wrap themselves out about the whole DNA stuff, really. That's where the defense is going to come in. So I can't really see them talking too much about the DNA. So I wonder if just a little bit we got today was pretty much that about the DNA. Um, was there any at the crime scene? Was there any, on his knife? Was there any, blah, 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 and then let alone, but, again, the jury's not going to be stupid either, guys. They're going to say like, oh, geez, Richard Allen had all these phones, and the phone that was important was the 2017 one, which he didn't have, right? So they're not gonna not remember that. But when somebody's keeps all their phones prior and after, they're not going to forget that part of it. And then, of course, like they didn't even, oh my God, like seriously, like it's like, oh well, we have the IME number, but we can't. They didn't even bother, I think, with that. I can't remember exactly how that went. I don't know. I just think I'm more disgusted in the
Yeah.
fact that if LE fails this case because of their incompetence and say someone that should be guilty walks free, and what a disaster that will be for the Patties and the Germans, and the Timmons and
I
stuff
don't know
like.
why. I am, call me a cynical, but I am confident that they will find him guilty. I
Well,
am.
I'm not there at all at this
I
point.
am.
No. Yeah.
But I
You
think you
you
are
think
being, I mean, but I think a lot of people feel like you. A lot of people feel definitely like, oh, like he's definitely innocent. But I think the confessions are going to be,
well, that's just it, right?
well, let's pray that they're
At
black and
this
white the way they say it is.
I'm a firm juror. I can assure you, they think about the sorts of things that we think about, and they can see through the BS. Yeah. Well, that's what it's going to come down to in all of this. They're going to look at it, and the bottom line is, it will come down to, he put himself there, 2 times. He put
Mm-hmm.
himself there. That the likelihood of somebody, like just those little things too, like the
Yeah.
phone. Like they're going to think about those things, but I, I feel like that they need the icing on the cake here. That they
Mm-hmm.
need, right?
Yeah, because yeah, they're going to be like, is that enough to convict somebody? But
Right.
at the same time, I mean, who puts themselves there wearing the same thing? The so-called bullet is there. Then the phone, they find all their phones for
Yeah.
other years, but
Yeah.
that phone is missing.
Yep.
Like,
That
come on,
one phone.
seriously?
Right. And that's like I said, that's going to play. I mean, that's going to play a partial part, because they can make up whatever excuse that they want, but it's going to be hard to overlook that
The
particular.
year, yeah,
Yeah.
the one that they need.
You're not going to say he traded it in for another phone, because he obviously keeps all his phones. Anyone that has that many phones from years way previous to years way after, that's a person that's not going to trade in their phone. They're keeping their phone. And why would you trade in the phone? The one phone that would have had anything to do. Why? Again, guilty knowledge, right?
Yeah.
You got to get rid of that evidence there.
And he had time too, because I mean, imagine when they come and interview him, he could have done it right then and then and be like, hey, I'm getting rid of everything I have before they come and search me.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. So, I mean, the confessions, I'm hoping what they said, that he had knowledge of the crime scene. And I believe that he probably, and
I
sometimes,
sure hope so.
it could be as subtle as, the way a leg was. Like, how would you know that the way the leg was?
Right.
So,
Well, right. There's certain things that the public still would not know. There's a lot of things that have come out because
yeah,
of lips
that
saying
we knew,
this,
but yeah.
So, because there's a lot of these people that feel like they were doing the right thing by giving out information because they worked in the, court clerks, or they worked in, or their husband worked in the police force and stuff like that. And a lot of people were giving definitely tidbits of information and stuff like that. But like I said, I guess we just have to wait and see. But I think that Kathy hanging up the phone says some volumes to me at this point, for her to basically say like, stop talking, and then hangs up the phone because he's probably confessing at that point. And she's like, no, I don't want to hear it. Like, stop talking. Da-da-da-da-da-da. You don't know what you're talking about. You know,
And she knows they get recorded, so.
yeah.
Mhm.
So, yeah. And to me, especially if that holds weight, you know, the defense can try to bring in their whole mental bullshit, all that they want and whatever. Like I said, you know, and I think that's what John Kelly, you know, you guys, again, let me just see here.
No.
Right here. You know, John Kelly, when he's talking there, he's talking to this Dr. Mursky.
Life in heaven, you know, with his
Yeah.
family, and it's
This
important
is
for him.
fun.
You feel somewhat remorseful, then you just, you know, come out with it. Maybe it's sort of some form of relief for him to say that.
Yeah, it's interesting you bring
Okay.
that up
Anything
because he
else?
does talk about wanting a life in heaven, you know, with his family, and it's important for him, you know, to admit his guilt so that later on in the hereafter in heaven, he'll be able to enjoy his family.
I'm going to leave that there because I will just give you guys the link to go watch that. And really, it's underneath the same tone of, you know, guilty knowledge, right? Like there's a lot of, to me, like there's some few definitely guilty knowledge moments here of someone. And again, you know, maybe he was walking up road 300. Maybe he just didn't give a fuck about his life anymore. Kate, Alexa, let me ask you this quickly. Just based on your gut feeling, do you think that Richard Allen and his wife Kathy, this is just hypothetical, do you think that, you know, that Kathy was probably like on the outside bubbly, but that their marriage probably wasn't that great underneath of it all, that it wasn't really like it? You
I
know how
always told you that. You know, I remember when I did that profile, I always believed. And then when we found out who he was, I mean, no marriage is perfect, obviously, but I believe I think this marriage, I mean, it was more like, I don't think it's more like, how can I say this? More now like roommates. And I know that as you get older, you know, love evolves and it's not the same as it was. But I think it's almost like I don't think they were as connected.
No, I mean there was a domestic violence thing back in 2015.
Yeah.
You know,
And I always told you, and remember, I always said, I believe that she probably had seen a violent side of him and his daughter. I can assure you of this. I don't know if we will ever find out, but I am pretty sure she's seen those red flags.
is his daughter testifying for the defense?
I
Or
don't
no?
know.
Anybody
I
know that?
haven't seen the daughter anywhere, which
Yeah.
it speaks volumes. Why isn't the daughter? I never seen the daughter at a trial. I never seen the daughter support him or anything. Isn't it weird?
Yeah. It was a DV, Ivy. They said it was, well, I mean, they said it was a DV, but because there was no charges pressed, right? But that so they it was reported as a DV, and the police recommended that they go to the she take him
Counseling?
for the hospital for a mental evaluation. It was because he was drinking or whatever, right? Because he was drunk as a skunk. That it was a DV, but it was never reported.
I never
And
knew that it was DV. I always thought it was just because he was like a altercation, like because he was drunk, but I didn't know that it was a DV. But I
that's what it
always
was.
told you that. Like I always said that. I always believed, and most of you that have been here with us for so many years and know me, I always said that. I always said I believe she has seen that side of him, that violent side of him, and she has seen the red flags. Maybe she didn't put them one and one together, but I guarantee you that late at night when she's trying to go to sleep, she flashes back to those things and she's evaluating, could it be possible? But I have seen him and I feel bad for her because, it's hard to accept. And she's a victim too. A lot of people speak crap about her and a lot of people put a lot of things on her. She's a victim too. You know, they are the daughter, the family is as much as a victim. I hate to say that as the other family because,
I know.
they
Well,
didn't do it.
yeah. Um, just to answer, Ivy, um, it was honestly, I was watching. I think I want to say it was a lawyer. Well, no, whose channel was it? Um, it's a channel that I don't typically watch. Um, I can't remember if it was the this lawyer's channel I was watching about it, and they were going over that it was it was someone that had like that I would it wasn't just like a regular YouTube channel type of thing, what I would deem as a regular YouTube channel. It was somebody that seemed to have a lot of information about that incident in 2015. Um, but honestly, to be honest, I actually don't remember. It was just because I was listening to a bunch of different channels that I hadn't listened to before, and I was like, oh, but it was somebody that you would deem as like credible,
Mhm.
and that because there's no paperwork to it, um, like because there's no paperwork to it to say that there was a charge. I can't remember if it's that it was somebody that had talked to one of the officers at that time or something like that. I just remember listening to it, and not that I hadn't heard it before because we'd heard many times about, at least I have, that it was a domestic violence, like a domestic, it was a domestic dispute. Hence, and that's why the police were called. It wasn't, that's why they were called. And it was because of that. So it wasn't just that it was like, oh, well, let's call because he's drunk. It was called because, he was whatever, he was drunk as a skunk, and it was a DV call. And
Hmm.
then basically the police had told him or told Kathy to, take him to the hospital for like some sort of mental evaluation because, you know, just because he was like so out of it and whatever,
Wow.
but that the files were never charged because obviously Kathy Allen say didn't. And that's when it was kind of getting into the fact of, well, we don't know how many charges or how many incidents might have happened. But, you know, we know that Richard Allen was a smoker, was a drinker. I wouldn't doubt it if he was a pretty good drinker, to be honest with you. All I see is some creep ass dude, that he's detached from his wife, or in the sense of it, like people
Yeah.
become after a lot of years.
Mm.
A lot of these things play out the same way. you know it's like when they're out and stuff like that,
He
they
looks annoyed. Even, I mean, I remember
oh,
one video that I seen
his
that
eyes
I
were
think they were hiking. I don't know if you've seen that. I'm pretty sure you've seen that video that they were hiking and that she's like being so sweet and like funny and like, because I think she's like very bubbly in personality. And it's almost like she was like trying to get him to turn around and like smile and like kind of like laugh. And he turns around and it's almost like if his eyes could speak, she would have been at the bottom of that canyon. Oh my God. I was like, whoa.
Mhm.
Like, whoa. So,
Well,
yeah.
he just honestly, he just reminds me of a little munchkin devil type, like meaning inside of him, I see this angry, whatever
I think
person.
he was married because she, it was, she's there and
No,
everything, but
um,
I don't think it was a marriage that, even though I tell you, I mean, I've been married 20 years. I know my husband for 27 years now. It changes. It's not the same one that we were back then. And it changes, obviously, the physical, everything changes. But in that changing, you still, he's still my partner. He's still this. In
mhm,
them, it almost feels like he's there just because he's there. He's stuck.
yeah,
I feel
mhm.
like he felt like he was stuck. He didn't know what to do. So she's just there. So it's like two roommates. I
It-
didn't feel like they had a marriage. I shouldn't be speaking about anybody's marriage because I don't know. Could have been
no,
different. That's from what
it's
I
just
see.
hypothetical. It's just honestly, it's just absolute speculation.
Yeah,
Like
of course.
for all we know, he could have had some sort of thing with his daughter, and they, whatever, and that he was just, he wanted to take it out on girls, that were younger because of
Mhm.
whatever. It could be anything to do with that. It doesn't have to be that it was actually sexually motivated by the same token. It could be something totally different at the end of the day. So, unless like I said, I want to get to the point that we hear these confessions. I think that the confessions will be the biggest thing that we're all looking to see any sort of clarification to the crime scene, and that
Mhm.
he put himself there. Now, and then, because remember, you guys, right? He said, because don't forget, you guys, that they're saying from the prosecution side that he says the motive for it. So
That's going to be interesting
that
because
right.
I mean, I still believe the
So,
motive is
yeah.
essay.
Well,
It's,
I guess
it's an essay motivation.
well that's just it. I guess we'll hear it from, according to McLean, like I said, and not only placing himself there that only the killer would know, but also the whatever the motive for it. So that will be gold if
Yeah.
that's the case.
Yeah, that's gonna be very interesting because that's what I always wanted to know. I mean, I also wanted to know though what got him there. What was the thing that he said today I'm gonna do it?
Right.
Why
Mhm.
not yesterday? Why not tomorrow? What was the thing that drove him that
I,
day?
if like I said, if I was just to speculate, I feel like that was something in his mind for a long time that just and then like how little demons keep growing and growing and
Mm-hmm.
growing and growing and growing. And
Yeah,
if you're trust me on
and
this
it
one,
won.
if your life sucks internally, that you might not know it about somebody, just like someone could come off happy-go-lucky, and then they next
Mm-hmm.
thing you know they've committed suicide, because no one kind of had a clue at the time that they
Mm-hmm.
even thought that they would do that to themselves. Same thing here. I think that this is something that was growing and growing, this little demon inside of him that, like I said, as his brain was building up here, and he frequented the bridge, probably saw a bunch of young girls, whatever, that, it was just a matter of time and an opportunity. And I think that the day off of school and something, maybe perhaps Valentine's Day did have something to do with it, like we don't know that.
Okay.
Because it was on the 13th, right? But they were found on the 14th.
Mhm.
But sometimes it's like Christmas holidays, how people get, like my brother, for instance, he used to be such an a-hole at Christmas time. Like he was like that Scrooge.
Yeah,
And
people brings the worst of in
right.
them. Mm-hmm.
So maybe by chance,
Could be.
coming
Could
or
be.
it just simply could have been that it just happened to be February 13th that it happened on, because the girls had the school day, and this was an opportunity for him to see if there was an opportunity, and
Mm-hmm.
an opportunity presented itself for whatever shit was going on up here and
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that. But I feel like it was a long time coming
Yeah.
from him.
But
That
I always felt that this was targeted, whether he saw her and said that, or he saw her before and became infatuated with her.
Mhm.
But I always believed that it seems to be, yeah,
Yeah.
that it's related to
Well,
that this was targeted and but that we might never know if he stalked her
right.
or if he had seen her before,
Right.
unless
I
he
mean,
confesses, of course.
there's nothing that's connected him to that, but who knows, right?
I could have
Like,
seen that, in CBS, did the pictures saw her one day or just saw her walking. I mean, we don't know. Could be so many things. And so many things that we will never know unless he says them. So
how drunk a skunk can get. Yeah. Well, like I said, you guys, I mean, again, at this point, I would not convict him if it was just based on what we've heard. But I know that there's more, and I'm gonna hold out hope, that gold, that freaking liquid
yeah,
gold,
it will
of
get
moments
there.
of testimony about the crime scene and stuff like that is going to hold its weight in this confessions. And I don't think that somebody.
Hopefully we don't get disappointed. I'm
Well, I know.
scared.
No. See, I know we can, right? And I think I feel that way because I feel like that so far I've been disappointed in what has been going on so far with the prosecution. And again, it's going to be like little things like, well, I thought you said you'd never confess to anything if you didn't do it. But now
Yeah.
you got 61 confessions, dude.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have a seat now. I gotta get going because my husband, now
Okay.
he like was working all day today.
Oh
And
wow.
then he
1:30.
got
I didn't even realize it was 1:30. Wow, went fast.
well, I was gonna say, let get some rest to all the people that are out in the court yard, including Aspen Connor. I know, like I said, that
Well, not
Becky had.
today, because he's tomorrow Sunday, so he's not in line. Tomorrow he'll be in
Yeah,
line.
tomorrow. Sorry, tomorrow. But
Yeah.
Becky Patty, I guess Derek German had made some banana bread, and I had actually just made some banana bread like last week.
Oh, yummy.
But I didn't have any walnuts, and I love walnuts in my banana bread.
Oh yes.
Yes, but
When
anyway,
they
so I guess
come nice and warm. Oh my God, now you're making me hungry.
yeah, but Becky Patty handed banana bread out to everybody and stuff like that. So it's really nice that because honestly, people have followed this case for a long time, and even the ones that haven't followed it that are spending their time on the cement sleeping there just so that they too, because this is a very interesting case that has been a long time coming. It's a huge case in the true crime community, and for anyone that's been following it, you guys agree, like I said, it's it's been a bunch of ups and downs and all around. So for anyone that's in there standing in line waiting their turn and stuff like that, and because they want to see the evidence and see what is presented, like what I mean, like I'd like to be on the wall and see all
Oh, I know.
visually, of the BG video and stuff like that. Oh, yeah, I think that dumbass Truth and Transparency was us saying that that he wasn't on the video, that the first one was fake.
How
Retards.
can they say that? I mean, that really gets me angry because I mean,
That's
the
just
girls were so heroic to get that video. And
It's-
to say, that really, honestly, I'm sorry for the language, it pisses me off.
It's such a slap in the face to the family, to sit there and
And
try
to the
to,
girls' memories too.
Alexa, let me ask you one more question because I feel like, okay, so the one picture of Abby on the bridge wasn't on the phone, or at least they couldn't find it.
Yeah,
But yet
because it was on
the other
Snapchat.
pictures are there. What would be your answer to that? My answer would be that someone accidentally, and all the fuck ups that they do, deleted it accidentally. Um,
No, I told you. It could be that it's because it was taken in Snapchat. Because that's like WhatsApp. I told you. Like when you take, and I know, I don't know if a lot of you guys have Snapchat. When you have Snapchat, no, not Snapchat, sorry, WhatsApp, you take a picture in WhatsApp. It doesn't get saved on your phone. It gets
yeah.
saved on WhatsApp.
So the other ones did then. So you're saying that the other pictures that they took, that like the 12 other.
Oh, so it's all of them? I don't know how
No,
many they take. I didn't know that.
No. So I'm just saying. Sorry, I got an itch on my back. But anyway, so I'm just saying. So the other pictures were probably could have been just taken on the phone, whereas that picture in itself was
Yeah,
probably
that
the
one
only
was
picture
taken.
uploaded
Yeah.
to
And
Snapchat.
it gets uploaded right away. So
Yeah.
I think that's probably what happened.
Okay.
And that's why that particular picture is not there. But I mean, come on, like, yeah. So now you have a video that matches, and then I mean, Photoshop the girl. Come on, that's so many
I know.
conspiracies.
Yeah, whatever. I mean, each to their own. Hey, if you want to live in a land of, Lala, I mean, go for it, eh? It's just,
Yeah,
to me, it's just honestly, it's just trying to overcome how some people have brains that are just out of this world and how their thinking is. And I
Yeah.
can't grasp people that think like that, right?
Yeah.
I just don't understand it because how do you go from, like, how do you start thinking that everything was contrived and that first video was fake and that the girls, they might have never even been on the bridge that day? Like, I just
Yeah.
don't understand how people's mentalities, and then they think that they're so smart and stuff like that.
How
And
they
yet
do all those
everyone else,
controversies. I watched the other day in a channel. I don't want to say the channel's name, but they're very pro Allen. And I was like, seriously? Like, how
yeah,
can you be so sure, of those things for like everything? It's like an excuse. And they're probably saying the same about us. But I mean, we use logic. We say things that work and things that don't work.
oh,
And, but
I was going to say, right. It, certain channels are just more all to the one side.
yeah.
Here, it's kind of like we have our opinions, but you still try to use
Yeah, no,
logic.
and like I told you, like for example, my opinion, and I've been criticized and been called Nancy Gray, and which to me, honestly, it's not an insult because I like her, so it's not an insult. That I give my opinion, but I'm giving you my opinion, as Alexa, but I'm also giving my opinion because I've seen cases like this.
Yeah.
As an expert or whatever you want to call, I've seen it. So the minute the victimology, I told you, the minute I see this, I can go, oh, that's why I understand maybe the other profilers or the other people that you see on TV, they don't want to say it because they don't want to be wrong. A lot of them don't like doing that. But don't tell me that you see a victim without clothes and you don't think victimology could be an essay. Come on.
Right. Of course.
Yeah,
Right.
of course it does.
Yeah. Of course.
And to
So,
say that a crime, a sexual crime, of course, sexual crime doesn't even have to be about the act. Most of the time, when it comes to a case, it's not about the act. It's about control, using as a weapon.
what
So the sexual crime becomes about control.
last question. Abby, dressed after she was unalived or taken out, murdered, or before, or that she had to dress herself basically in Libby's clothes.
I always thought that probably he dressed her afterwards.
Yeah, I'm actually more towards the fact that he made Abby put them on. I can't see Abby put or
Or
say
him
this.
doing it? Oh, could be
I
that
see him
maybe
putting
he
on a
may. I mean,
shoe.
I can see that. I can see that. I can see that
I don't know.
But the only thing that I don't understand is if it was her, why would she have the wrong pants? She would have said, "That's not my pants. Those are my pants."
Or maybe she said she couldn't put on her pants. But the thing is that I think that that's kind of like the biggest thing. Like, why did he even do that? Regardless,
Oh, whether he told her to dress, I think it's because in a little bit he felt bad. I think
yeah.
it's that little bit
Well,
in his thing that he said,
well,
"This is not my target, and
me-
I'm going to give her a little bit at least of dignity."
mhm.
Let's call it.
And maybe he says something like that in some of those confessions. Maybe he says like he dressed Abby or whatever with Abby because I felt bad. So maybe he does say something referencing that, right? Yeah. But
Mm-hmm.
anyways, I gotta get going.
Okay.
Alexa, you
Have a good night, everybody. Stay safe.
Yeah, and
Thank
we'll
you
see
again for inviting me. I appreciate it, for letting me have a thing. Hopefully, I'll have my YouTube soon.
Yeah. Okay, Alexa.
No.
You
No,
should.
I'm telling you, I don't
should.
think I'm going to have a channel. I think this is just going to be the Alexa channel, and that's what I'm going to say. And I don't think I have time to do another channel. I think I'm
Yeah.
just going to get my subscribers on this one, and we'll do it here
Yeah.
on my Alexa one.
Yeah. Got. Anyways, love you all.
Okay.
Thank you
Okay.
so
Have a
much.
good night. Thank you, everybody. Stay
Thank
safe.
you, guys. Thank you,
Bye-bye.
Maud. Thank you, everybody, for joining again. Please hit that like. Take care, Alexa.
You too.
Yeah, I
Have a
have to
good
work.
night.
I was gonna say I have to work 12 to 8 on Monday. So if there's like really good information, I'll do a live.
Yeah,
after
of
I
course.
work. We'll see.
Okay.
But anyways, you guys
Have a good
take
night.
care. Jake the Snake. Yeah, you guys take care. Good night. And yeah, we're gonna play the extra song, and there you go.
One more thick night, the world is cold. We stand surrounded, we are not alone. Within my reverie, there's holy light. Without an honor, we stand and fight.